Hello students, so welcome to the video tutorial. So we'll continue with chapter 6, memory and input output ports. So in this chapter today we'll discuss about the different types of output devices. So the different types of output devices are, so output devices takes machine coded output results from the processor and converts them into human readable format. So we have already seen input devices. You all know what is output devices. So with the output device, what happens is the machine, the data that gets processed, it gets processed into useful information. So that information is in machine coded result, that is in like uh, computer readable format, that is in machine language. So that has to be converted into human readable format. So the output devices is responsible for for displaying that, okay, for converting that and displaying that in human readable format. So these are some of the output devices that we frequently use. So the first one is the monitor. So the monitor, which is the computer screen, it is also called as visual display unit, in short VDU. Okay. It displays the result of instructions sent for processing to the computer. Okay. So the output of the computer screen may be in the form of images, video, text, etc. So you already know that we have different types of monitors. The first one being that CRT monitor. Okay. Then we have LED, LCD monitors like that. Okay. So it is not discussed in brief. So only definitions will do. Next we have is printer. So a printer is a machine. So it is an output device that accepts text and graphics. So that means characters and images. Okay. Sent by the computer. So whatever you see on the computer screen in that same format, okay, be it a textual document or the graphic image that you see on the computer screen, that will be printed out with the help of the printer. Okay, so it prints out on a physical medium such as a paper. So you need a paper to print out whatever that you are seeing on the computer screen using a printer. So based on that, you have two types of printers. So two categories of printers, that is impact printer and non-impact printer. So what is impact printer? Now an impact printer, it prints characters only. Okay, it does not print graphics. It cannot print out images, but it can print out only text characters. So on a paper, by striking the paper against an ink ribbon, so the ink ribbon is basically it's a wet ink ribbon filled with inks. Then that is that ink ribbon, okay, is struck on the paper by a print head. Okay, so the print head, it strikes on the ink ribbon, and then after that it strikes on the paper. Okay, so the ink ribbon is in between the print head and the print head pin and the paper. So these impact printers are quite noisy because of the striking mechanism. So based on that, you have two types of impact printer. So the most typical impact printer is your dot matrix printer. Some of you might have seen this in mostly this dot matrix printer, though it is very noisy, yet it is used mostly in office, for office works. So you can see that in offices. So a dot matrix printer, this is an impact printer. It produces text on a paper. Keep in mind that it cannot produce graphics. So it produces text on a paper when tiny pins on print head strikes against an ink ribbon. Okay, so a wet ink ribbon. So this dot matrix printer, it produces the text by using tiny dots. Okay, so many tiny dots, so the text are printed out one character at a time. Okay, so one character, that means one alphabet or one letter is printed out using dots, many dots. So it is quite noisy and slow in printing, ranging from 50 to 400 characters per second. Okay, that is CPS. Next you have is the line printer. So line printer is also another type of impact printer, and it is, compared to the dot matrix, it is a high speed impact printer, but it prints an entire line at a time. Now a dot matrix prints one character at a time, okay, but a line printer, it prints out one line at a time. Okay, so line printer can print as many as 3000 lines per minute, so much faster than the dot matrix, but it can also print out only characters. Okay, so the disadvantage is that the line printer print quality is quite low, same like, okay, and it is also quite noisy. So these are the two types of impact printers. Next we have is non-impact printers. Okay, so a non-impact printer can form both characters and graphics on a paper. Okay, so unlike a impact printer, non-impact printers can print out both characters and also images on a paper. So why there's no striking mechanism, instead it uses heat and pressure to sink on to print on the paper. It produces less noise and prints out faster than impact printer. So there are three types of non-impact printers. Okay, so for pictures and images, okay, you can look at, you can Google search and look at the pictures, diagrams like that. It is also there in your textbook. Okay, so you can have a look at that. Now three types of non-impact printers are there. The first one is inkjet printer. Now this is the most widely used, and this is much cheaper compared to the laser printer. So this is a non-impact printer that can print out both characters and graphics by spraying wet ink, that is wet ionized ink, okay, on a sheet of paper. So it uses two types of cartridges which is fitted on the printer, okay, inside the printer. uh, one is a color cartridge which has the color magenta, yellow and cyan. Okay, and it creates different color tones, and one black cartridge for producing crisp monotone printout. Okay, so those two cartridges are necessary to be fitted on the inkjet printers. Now the advantage is that since there is no striking mechanism, so it is less noisy, and the quality output is also much better than impact printer, and printing is also faster, so up to 200 characters per second. Okay, so there is some typing mistake. Okay, now next we have is laser printer. So laser printer is a very high speed and high quality non-impact printer. It uses dry powdered ink instead of wet ink. Okay, dry powdered ink to produce fine dot matrix pattern output. Now this is the most expensive of the non-impact printer. Okay, this is more expensive than the inkjet printer. Okay, but however in terms of performance, in terms of quality, it's much better than the inkjet printer. Okay, it can print text and graphics also of high resolution, and up to 40 pages per minute can be printed out. Okay, so next we have is a thermal printer. Thermal printer is also a non-impact printer. It uses heat to produce the image on the paper. So the pins on the pin head are electrically heated here. Okay, so here we use heat pressure and produce the characters on heat sensitive papers. Okay, so the papers are also heat sensitive, so it is inexpensive compared to the laser printer, but the print quality is low. Okay. So after monitor and printer, the third type of output device is plotter. So plotter is basically a large printer, okay, through which you can draw graphics and continuous line, usually meant for drawing continuous lines by using pen or pencil on the paper. Okay, so instead of using toner, plotters they use pen or pencil to draw continuous lines onto the paper, okay, rather than a series of dots like a traditional printer. So plotters are more expensive than a printer. Okay, so these are the different types of output devices. Okay, so in the next class we'll be discussing about the memory units, that is the main memory, okay, secondary memory, and so on.